Bitcoin has seen a brutal correction resulting in over $1 billion in 24-hour liquidations. In today's video, we're going to be discussing exactly what you should be expecting next on the short term, what impact this correction has had on the higher timeframe structures, and why we believe Bitcoin is still massively bullish moving into the remainder of 2024. Let's go ahead and jump in. Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Bitcoin has seen a brutal 13 to 14% correction from that prior $69,000 all-time high. And like we mentioned at the start, in today's video, we're going to be diving deep into what is happening on the short-term time frame, discussing exactly what to expect next, why the majority are incorrect about this current move, what the macro charts are looking like, and what impact this correction has potentially had on the high time frame structures. We'll finish up by discussing the total cryptocurrency market cap for both Bitcoin and for altcoins, and going over the 4-year cycle, the next expected bull run, potential top dates, and key technical indicators we are watching out for on the macro scale. So before we do get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos for Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you are interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the third link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. If you are interested in taking your trading to the next level, you can join our VIP group. We post trading setups with exact entries, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. You'll also get access to our group chat, our general chat, our trading chart and education chat, our help, our daily video, our trade setup, and our news chat. If you're interested in getting access to all of that, go ahead and contact us in the pinned comment of the free channel. Find out more information by clicking our link over here, which shows you a video of the VIP and of course our entire trading track record since February 2021. Without further ado, guys, let's dive right into a video. So like we said in the intro, Bitcoin has seen what was quite a brutal, and I feel like mostly unexpected by the majority, correction from that 69k level. The 69k level, the prior all-time high, was always going to be a major area of contention on the high time frame chart. These areas are always psychological levels of resistance. We do generally see large reactions around these levels, and we have seen that in the past. The big question is, what impact has this had, and has it impacted or damaged the high time frame trend? What are the short-term charts doing? Where are they likely to go next? All these questions we're going to be answering in today's video. So let's dive on into the market data. 24-hour volume is up 67%, sitting at a total of 500 billion, so relatively high. Looking at 24-hour liquidations, we are sitting at 171% up for the last 24 hours. That is sitting at 1.18 billion, with 890 million liquidations in long positions. Absolutely insane, and 291 million in short positions. If you remember back on our video yesterday, we told you guys Bitcoin was approaching that all-time high, and this was the area I was looking to scale out of long positions. I was keeping my spot bags, but I was selling my long positions. In that, I also took a short on Bitcoin. You can see the short on Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and find it right over here. You can see we entered a short around just shy of 68,000. Targeting a low of 63,000, played out absolutely perfectly. Again, we'll come back and discuss exactly what is happening here and what we expect in just a moment. Moving over to the broader market, so DXY, not really all that much has changed. Again, very slow price action pushing sideways. We don't expect too much until, again, the 12th of March, which is 6 days from now, which is going to be the CPI data. So we're definitely watching out for what the inflation data is going to be, and that's going to play a massive role in determining where the DXY does go next. We are still expecting a correction down to our prior low, which is sitting around that 103 range. Moving over to the S&P 500, we have broken down from that key level of resistance at 5,100. deviating slightly above that level. Again, if we are able to close that weekly candle below this level, this would be basically our first sign of weakness in the charts ever since we had that correction back at the start of the year. Again, engulfing that prior green candle, breaking below the psychological trigger 5,100, we're likely to see a correction down to 5,000. Again, if we do see a correction to 5,000, that is a key area of support. It is a whole number. These psychological levels always act as support and resistance. We're likely to see a bounce from that level. Moving over to the Dow Jones, very similar thing happening over here, guys. We're deviating potentially below 39,000. That 39,000 level is akin to that 5,100 level. And thus, a breakdown of that level could result in a correction back down to 38,000. Only if we lose 38,000 are we at risk of a high time frame correction. Any correction for both the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones provided these respective areas of 5,000 and 38,000 hold a support, we're expecting continuations upwards on the macro charts. So that is it for the broad markets, guys. We have so much to discuss for Bitcoin today. Like we said, we're going to be going over the short term. We're going to be going over the macro charts. We're going to be discussing the total cryptocurrency market cap, and we'll be discussing, of course, the broader macro monthly charts, the 4-year cycle, the expected bull run, all of that in between. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into it. A quick word from Bitget BingX first. I wanted to briefly interrupt today's video to discuss the two exchanges we use on this channel, Bitget and BingX. So which exchange should you sign up to? If you look to the right hand side of the screen, you're going to see the list of differences in relation to KYC requirements and the countries these exchanges offer services to. The first link down below being the Bitget link, and the second link down below being the BingX link. No matter which link you sign up to, you're going to get up to 15% discounts on your trading fees, up to $5,000 in trading rewards, and of course, you'll get access to every single MegaWhale exclusive bonus campaign we run on these exchanges. Alongside that, Bitget and BingX are incredibly similar. They are both ranked top 10 in terms of trading volume. They both have extensive liquidity pools and market pairs offering up to 125x leverage. And most importantly, they both offer protection funds for their users to protect you against any third-party hacks. So get started now and support the channel by clicking the links below. Thanks for listening. Okay team, let's go ahead and dive in. So by the end of today's video, you're going to have such a detailed understanding of not only what to expect on the short term, but the macro as well. We have so much to get into, so we're going to get straight into it. So Bitcoin, like we said, have seen that large correction from 69,000 all the way back down to sub 60K. Now, since then, we have seen a pretty decent bounce for Bitcoin. That bounce resulted in a move from that 59,000 range up around 8.5% back up to 64,000. So we need to really take a look at the chart first and foremost from a perspective of where are our key levels of support and resistance, and what does the price action mean as to where it is in context to our key levels of support and resistance. So as we said in yesterday's video, there was one particular level we were watching for the bears to really take control if it were broken. We showed you that we had this uptrend, okay, and we had our momentum, which is our RSI. We told you that a breakdown or loss of this RSI would signify the cluster of price action developing this uptrend again has lost the positive strength required to continue the trend upwards. We pushed upwards, we saw a bearish divergence, which confirmed that exhaustion, and then we saw a correction down. We moved down quite aggressively, breaking through our prior support at 63,000, but this is the important part. We were able to hold the support, and the most important support, which was at that $60,000 range, this green box. This is the most important support on the chart right now. If we even delete this upper level of resistance, which is a 63K, you can see that we came down, we saw a massive liquidity grab underneath this level, wiping off a whole bunch of positions, and we have bounced aggressively from here. This area is still the most significant area of support, and we can say that with a high degree of confidence, as if we look at the VIPV, we can see as the breakdown occurred from the 60, we saw a fair chunk of the VIPV fill, but again, we had this massive gap in the VIPV down to this 57 range. That tells us that this area between 60,000 and 57,000 is a massive area of low historical resistance, okay? It is an area of which we expect volatility and velocity to pick up, and we would expect a large correction down to 57,000 to occur if we were to fail to hold 60k as support. Thankfully, we managed to hold 60k as support, and thus this correction here is actually negligent in terms of the overall trend for Bitcoin. Provided support is able to hold, it is most important to remember, support is support until it is not. And only if we lose 60,000 does the structural consolidation that we're developing above that 60k resistance, or should I say support, and if we look out again, where is that 60k level? This is that 60k level. Only if we break below this level will this be marked as deviation. As we saw deviation above prior, that will be considered a potential double top, and then we could see a correction. Until that occurs, until this area of support holds, we are still having the potential to continue upwards from this here and potentially break over that prior all-time high. So what happened in the last 24 hours? Of course, we saw a large move toward the downside. This was not unexpected. Like we said, we took our long positions over here as profit. We entered short positions. We were approaching the prior all-time high. It was always going to be an area of major contention. There was always going to be a massive reaction in this level, and we have seen that reaction wiping off $1 billion in positions. So let's now talk about the short-term price action. Like we said, guys, if we break below here, we expect a correction. There is nothing more to it. Keep it simple. We don't have to overcomplicate it. This is our area of support. A loss of this level would signify that the bulls that are buying upwards to this support, okay, or holding the support, have lost the strength in comparison to the bears that are selling. It means it would result in a shift in strength of price action, and that shift in strength in price action would move the control from the bulls to the bears, and the price action will likely continue toward the downside until we reach the next area of demand where the buyers will step back in at 57k. So if we zoom out to the higher time frame chart, what would that look like on the higher time frame chart? Again, it would look like something like that. We'll be dropping below that 60k level, and we'll be resulting in a move back down to this $57,000 level, the mid area between our two areas of support. Now, this is again going to be a pretty bad move for Bitcoin if it does occur. We would ideally not like to see a breakdown below 60, and we'll show you why in just a moment when we get to a macro chart. But hypothetically, like we said, if it were to occur, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It would be a large correction. Altcoins would likely correct a large amount. We could see an extended correction for the next couple of weeks, potentially months. We could potentially even come back down to 48, and we'll discuss why in a moment. None of that really matters in terms of the next bull market, in terms of the macro trend. So on a short term, like we said yesterday, as we enter this higher range, this price discovery range, okay, we need to be watching the short term charts a lot. We need to be adapting to the price action and reacting to what is happening rather than just willy-nilly predicting random things that could occur. We have to be focusing on the trigger points and let the market lead us to the direction we want to go. So we're watching for these triggers. A breakdown, we take shorts, we look for continuations lower. At the moment, guys, if we zoom out to the upside chart on the short term, this area is now going to be acting as an area of support as well. We are currently sitting above it. For us to show strength, okay, this is important. For us to show enough strength to continue upwards, guys, we are going to need to see this RSI trend line. Again, we're looking at momentum. We need to see this RSI trend line break. Now, we are well away from this level, so it could take some time and it may not happen. We are well away from this level, so we don't have positive strength yet. It is very important to understand, although we are sitting above an area of support, which is going to be our 60k area of support, we are rejecting from a high time frame resistance, and we are in a short-term downtrend. So the short-term downtrend is expected to continue into an area of support, which we have, and that could continue as well, provided momentum remains negative. So we need to see that momentum flip back positive to result in strength developing, to result in a continuation back upwards. But all in all, again, the major thing is that we are able to hold that 60k of support, and we are currently sitting above it, and it is only a cause for concern if we do drop below it. So let's now zoom out to this chart over here. Now, if we zoom out and delete everything on the chart and go to a monthly chart, you will see that if we really zoom out on a chart and focus on what is happening, the correction we have seen actually looks quite insignificant, right? We are still sitting above this monthly high point on Bitcoin's chart. This is again the candle close of the monthly high before that all-time high retest. We are still sitting above that level. Now, as we've said before, we are still in a potential danger zone for this particular monthly candle, as this particular monthly candle opened underneath the monthly high of that prior candle. It opened just under. So we would definitely like to see this monthly candle close above this level to actually validate. Now we have set a new monthly candle high. If this monthly candle turns into a red candle, as described by potential corrections developing from 60,000, that could be potentially concerning for the high time frame for direction for Bitcoin. And if we look at our lower areas of major support, the next area of major support on the high time frame chart is going to be that 48K level, and we could see a correction as low as 48,000 if that were to occur. So again, guys, we are not out of the woods in terms of potential corrections. We are still looking very strong in the macro. It is very unlikely any correction that does develop will interfere with the macro direction of price action. But as we approach, now you're looking at 330% upwards from those lows to a prior all-time high, we are approaching an area of major resistance. It would be unwise to assume that we're just going to continue aggressively upwards without some sort of corrections. Now, we have seen a 14% correction. Is that enough of correction? I believe it could be. If we drop below 60, the correction will likely continue. So let's move over to the monthly charts now, starting on the Bitcoin monthly chart, specifically focusing on our candle closes above our prior highs. So we're going to see this horizontal trend line, the black horizontal trend line, the upper one marks the prior all-time highs of these cycles in terms of the monthly candle closes. What we do generally notice is when we are able to close a monthly candle above that level, we generally then continue toward the upside aggressively for the upcoming months. Now, we closed a monthly candle on this vertical line. We closed a monthly candle on this vertical line here. However, if we look at the 2017 cycle, we can see we had resistance at that monthly level for 2 full months before continuing upwards. So it is not like we haven't seen rejections from these prior high points in the past. We saw rejections of around 13-14%. This was actually a 25% correction in the past from our prior all-time highs. So we could definitely see that again, and it is not unexpected. The most important thing is, if we do note that when we break over our dotted trend line is the dead cat bounce high of the price cycle, our dead cat bounce high of the price cycle, when we break over that dotted trend line, we actually never come back down to retest it. So we would not like to see a retest of 48K, and in fact, we would say it is highly unlikely we would see a retest of 48K, and we can look at our RSI and take a look at momentum and see, again, we have broken over that 68 to 67 range on the RSI. These areas, again, in the past acted as rejection points for the dollar trend line. We have well and truly broke above that level. We are not expecting a retest of 48K. It would be unlikely. It is possible, but it is unlikely. The more likely scenario is where we potentially find resistance for a few weeks, or we just have this massive liquidity flush and we continue upwards. So let's take a look at the prior cycles. What we have noticed is every single time, guys, we break above that trend line, that yearly high, we end up moving upwards aggressively to create a brand new all-time high. That took around 9 months. In the past, we can break above and we go to an all-time high. It took around 12 months. If we take it from the point at which we retested that horizontal black line, it takes between around 11 to 10 months to actually create that high. So applying that forward from the month of which we retested, which was our prior month, applying forward 10 months to 13 months, that could result in an all-time high being set for Bitcoin at around December 2024 to March 2025. If we follow that same pattern, which is 10 to 13 months after retesting an all-time high, we create a brand new high, that is around 10 to 13 months. If we go a step further and drag from the point at which we broke over the dotted trend line, okay, that is 13 to 14 months. So our earliest we'd expect a high to be set in December, and the latest we'd expect a high to be set in March, April 2025. Again, we're honing in in on that as we approach the date, but as of right now, that is what we are expecting. If we look at the RSI, guys, we can see, I'm just going to go ahead and delete some of this. We generally see a top for Bitcoin when we break over the 80 on the RSI around 7 to 10 months after. So we do look at that point of which we break over the 80 on the RSI. If I draw a vertical line, we have the break of the 80 over here. This is the pivot, okay? We have the break over 80 over here. This is the pivot. We have the break of the 80 over here. This is the pivot. You can notice that the point of which we break over the 80 is the same point of which we break over that horizontal all-time high level. So we look at this candle over here, which is the break over that all-time high. The RSI is moving into a pivot through 80 through that candle. So the next one over here, we can see the break over the all-time high is on that candle over here, and we can see the RSI is pivoting through that 80 point. If we do look at the current price action, we are nowhere near that 80 point as of right now, as we are not pivoting at the same time we are breaking through an all-time high, which is a slight cause for concern, as it does signify we may not have the strength required to actually break through this level and sustain. However, we do need to give it another 4 weeks, as we generally see again that second candle is when we actually pivot through that 80 point on the RSI, and that is when we validate the breakout. Assuming we do validate the breakout on the RSI, we generally see from that breakout point to the all-time high between 7, okay, to 10 months. And we'll show you again, between 7 to 10 months, so there's 9 months, so 7 to 10 months from the point at which we break the RSI to the point of which we create a new all-time high. Now, assuming we're going to break that in the next 2 or 3 months, okay, that could take us again to March, April 2025 for an expected top. So the 4-year cycle is intact. The monthly charts are still looking strong. The technical data is still suggesting a continuation upwards. The only thing now we have seen is a rejection from the prior all-time high. The question is, are we able to sustain? If we are able to sustain, we are expecting a continuation upwards. If we fail to sustain, we could see a repeat of what we saw in 2017. Which is a small correction toward the downside, 20-25%, potentially taking us to 57K before a continuation upwards. If we do look at our weekly chart, we can see another indicator, which is going to be our Vortex trend indicator. Our Vortex trend indicator has predicted the prior tops. We have this trend line, we create an high, and that second peak is when we have the top for Bitcoin. Again, we'll show you, okay? We create an high, and that second peak is when we have the top for Bitcoin. We create an high, and then the second peak is when we create the top for Bitcoin. We have yet to retest or even come close to retesting that trend line, and the halving event is represented by that red trend line. So we are at least expecting the Vortex trend indicator to continue up to retest this green trend line in the future for potential macro reversals or potential top signals to be printed. So all in all, looking fantastic. I wouldn't be too shocked and concerned about this recent correction. In fact, I would consider this to be a nice, healthy flush. I wouldn't be shocked if we do see a continuation downwards. And I guess you have to really remember, if we do see that continuation downwards, the most important level we remain above historically, okay, is going to be that $48,000 level. If we break below the $48,000 level, we would have then seen something we have never seen before, and that could actually invalidate the bull market. So it's pretty significant, guys. If we move actually back over to this chart over here on the weekly, and we just look at this red line here, this thick red line is the baseline of the Ichimoku cloud. And what we do notice is that every single time we get above that level on the weekly and it breaks through the clouds, okay, we don't actually drop below it again. And if we look over to the monthly chart, we can show you in more detail. We don't get below that level again. We break above the baseline of the Ichimoku cloud, we remain above that level until we create an all-time high. Only then do we drop below it. We get above the baseline, we remain above that level, and only when we drop below it do we enter a bear market. So we broke above that level around that 48K level, just shy of 48. So we aren't expecting the price action to ever drop back below that level, and that is going to be around that $48,000 mark. So if we were to lose 48,000, that would be the biggest warning sign we could imagine, the biggest alarm bell, as it would invalidate the expected structural continuations that we have seen play out in prior bull runs, and it could invalidate the bull run. So all in all, looking good, guys. Be patient, be attentive, and make sure when we are approaching these price discovery ranges, you are not sitting there panicking. Zoom out when in doubt. Contextualize what is happening, look at the short term and try understand what is happening in the short term and react to what is happening in the short term. Predicting tops are never done on macro charts, okay? They're done on shorter time frame charts. Developing weakness over a period of time eventually spills over to the higher time frame chart. What we have seen here is not enough weakness to suggest the high time frame charts are going to correct. For us to say there has been enough weakness developed on this chart, we need to show weakness. We need to show the bears are back in control. A liquidity flush from a prior all-time high is not the bears in control, okay? The bears taking control will be a break and close and consolidation underneath that $60,000 level, okay? Keep that in mind, guys, and let's move over to the total cryptocurrency market cap and then close the video. So total cryptocurrency market cap is looking once again fantastic. We have broken above that major area of resistance. This is akin to that 48K level. We have retested that area as support now, and this area is now going to be a support. So another warning sign for cryptocurrency would be a loss of, I think it's around let's take a look, a little deeper look, 2.08, okay? A loss of 2.08 trillion would be a pretty big warning sign for cryptocurrency as a whole if we were to lose that level, as that would invalidate this area as support, and that would mark this area as deviation, something we have not seen before. This would be in contradiction to what Bitcoin did at that 48K level, okay, at that respective level, okay? It came up, pushed through it, rejected, retest, pushed through it in 1 month, okay? And then we continued upwards. So if we were to see a breakdown at that level, this would be in contradiction of what Bitcoin did and could potentially tell us the market cycle is actually over and everything's coming to an end. That would be very, very bad. Moving over to altcoins, if we look at the altcoin market cap, guys, everything's looking great still in terms of altcoins. And like we said already, only if we get below this level, and I put the little sign over here, only if we drop back below this level, altcoins are well and truly absolutely wrecked, okay? We have this overall uptrend as well. If we drop below this level, we are well and truly wrecked. Until then, the trend is up, guys. Watch the trend. The trend is up. This is an upward trend. We have support developing as we move upwards. We have consolidation, expansion, okay? Correction, consolidation, expansion. We are in a uptrend. We are expecting the trend to continue towards this high in the distant future, provided Bitcoin is able to hold that 60K. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.